You know, most people think that they have to go way out in the middle of nowhere to do some tree study. And even though that's valuable, that's not necessary. What I wanted to do in today's video is put a long form video together, which is way beyond our typical scope of our reels and stuff of that nature, to do a few things. One, I wanted to give you some insight into what we do in our Nature Reliance School online membership, where we have a lot more long form video. And I also wanted to show that a place like this with a blacktop pavement and guardrails and all the things is a great place to go study the topic that we're going to look at today, which is we're going to look at nut trees, and we're going to find as many species of nuts that we can find that have hit this road and go from there as far as how to use a dichotomous key, as well as how to learn about these different species as we walk along. So let me talk about the resources I'm going to use first. The first one is the Tree Finder book. This is for summertime. They also have a wintertime Tree Finder book. You can get these on Amazon. And this is identifying Kentucky's forest trees. So no matter where you are, your traditional agricultural or forestry college in your state probably has something like this that you can get from them to help you with tree identification. The reason I say that is because this is going to cover a lot of trees here in Eastern North America, and this is going to cover just the trees that we have here in Kentucky. And because of that, it's going to reduce how much work and research you have to do utilizing this text. So it's going to be good for both. I'm going to make sure I use both today and show you how to use them. The first one we've come to is the common beech tree, which is Fagus grandifolia. One of the unique features about this nut is that it's triangular in shape. It's a really unique shape. And it has these husks that have slight little barbs on them. Really interesting. And man, squirrels, well, all wildlife really like this tree. Now, this distinction is different from its European relative, which is Fagus sylvatica, because it has bigger and more broad leaves than that particular species. So I'm going to walk you through how to use the Tree Finder book, again, by May. I don't know how to say her middle name, but Watts. So you start here on page 5. If the tree has needles, start with this symbol. If the tree has leaves, start with this symbol. So that's on page 14. And I have conveniently folded the pages to make it easy for me to find them. So remember your symbols. So I'll come back to this symbol. If the leaves or buds grow opposite like this, it's something. If the leaves or buds grow alternately like this, you go to page 21, which it's hard to see on these trifoliates at the very end, the terminal end. But here you can see they're growing, alternating along the stem. You can see that even better higher up into the branches if you're sitting here looking. One of the things I like to do here is, I don't have it today because I'm familiar with this area, is I bring my vortex binocular so I can look up in the tree and see things a little bit closer. So they're alternate. I then go to page 21 looking at this. So if I go to page 21, and I'm looking for that. If the leaves are compound, composed of several leaflets, which it is not. If the leaves are simple, not composed of leaflets, which is this one is, go to page 28 and look for that symbol. So I now come to page 28 and I've found that symbol that I just showed you. The questions are, if the leaf has neither teeth nor lobes, or if the leaf has teeth of any kind, or a wavy margin or lobes. So as we can see, this margin of the leaf has a toothed edge to it, and it is single tooth. You'll see a double tooth on something like a hornbeam. So that sent us to page 33, and we're looking for this. If the leaf is evergreen tipped with stiff, sharp spines, it is not evergreen. If the leaf is not evergreen, go to the next page and look for this symbol right here, which is basically deciduous trees. So I'll go to the next page and I look for that symbol, which is this symbol right here. If the tree has thorns or thorn-like twigs and is small, if the tree has no thorns or thorn-like twigs, go below. This tree is small. This is a young one, but the big one's very large, like the ones that Jennifer's getting right now on camera. So this next part about the thorns is a little confusing on this particular species, so I want to show you something really quick. This is the bud for next year, and it kind of looks like a thorn. Matter of fact, it'll kind of prick your finger, but this is not a thorn-like structure, because this breaks down easily and is actually a rolled up leaf that's going to come out next year. So if the tree has no thorns or thorn-like twigs, go below to this, which is right here. If the margin is toothed or doubly toothed continuously along all or almost all of its margin, which it is toothed. If the leaf is either deeply or shallowly lobed, which it is not. So we want to go to below to this symbol. We go to this symbol. The leaf is lobed as well as sawtooth, not the case. If the leaf is not lobed, go to the next page to this symbol right here, which takes us over to this particular, and this is the final. If the varieties with bronze purple leaves, which this one is not, is a copper beech, or if the leaf is 3 to 5 inches long, more than twice as long as it is wide, and the teeth are more conspicuous and there are 9 to 14 pairs of veins, it is an American beech, the Fagus grandifolia. Yeah, I know that's a little awkward if you're new to that, but the more you practice it, the better you're going to get. In that particular case, again, we're using May Watt's book. It's more in depth than the other one I'm going to show you. So find the one that goes for your state. I'll show you how to use it next for here in Kentucky. But that's how you're going to use this for basically Eastern North America, which is a fantastic resource. This right here is an indicator of why I wanted to do at this location for those of us who might be beginners. If you'll look, man, there are a ton of nuts and they're very easy to see on this blacktop. So that'll give me a reason to stop here and let's try to figure out what we've got right here. Now this is the tree that all of those nuts that I just showed you are falling off of. I know that this is a white oak, the Quercus alba. Let's talk about it a little bit and then I'm gonna walk you through the Kentucky book and show you how I would identify this if I didn't know what it was. Let's break down the etymology of that word. Alba just simply means white, referring to the bark color as I just mentioned. A real cool tidbit about the white oak is that this is what was used in the United States naval ships like the USS Constitution. Also, here in the state of Kentucky, this is what bourbon makers utilize for bourbon barrels. And the reason for that is that the wood has very few pores in it. And so it's going to hold that bourbon better than even a red oak species is going to. Now, as far as bushcraft survival and hunting and all that stuff, white oaks are a preferred species for wildlife. So your deer, your turkey, your chipmunks, your squirrels, all the things that might eat acorns are going to be likely to be around your white oaks before they are the red oaks. There's the tree in the background. Here is a leaf off of it. So let's use the Kentucky guide first. So interesting the way this is set up. On one side, you have the conifers. On the other side, you have the broadleaf trees, the ones that are going to drop their leaves like this one. And let's start breaking it down. So our first thing to look at is it opposite branching or is it alternate branching? Now this is where I would use my monocular to look up in the tree. This one is alternate. And then I have the option, is it simple or is it compound? Simple is just one leaf by itself rather than having a bunch of leaflets. So it is simple. And then we're looking at, is it lobed or is it non-lobed? This one is definitely lobed. Matter of fact, the one it shows for the lobed is very similar to the leaf that we have in our hand. Once we discover that it's lobed, we then look at non-serrated or serrated, and this is not serrated. And so we have a long list of trees. If you'll notice, most of them are oaks that we now reference the book on. Fortunately for us, and I picked this one purposely, this one is the first one we come to, which is white oak, but let's look at it and I'll show you how we know. Check it out, tough possum gear, satchel, squirrel behind us. I keep all my tree books in one of these so I can pick it up and go whenever I need to. So now we said page 40, let's go to page 40. So I'll open up to page 40 and I have the white oak Quercus alba. We have a picture, or not a picture, but a sketch of the acorn as well as the tree. And if it was close, which I can't reach this one because they're up in the tree, we could look at the buds and what they look like. All oaks are going to have a cluster of buds on the terminal end. That helps you to understand. Now we have all these really cool things to help us determine, but let's look at just the leaf. I like to put my leaf right on my book, and then I go right down the list. 5 to 9 inches long, 2 to 4 inches wide, yes. Alternate and simple as far as the arrangement, yes. The margin edge is the entire of it, yes. The lobes, 7 to 9 finger lobes with rounded tips, white oak group pinnately arranged. You'll look in the front of this book for all the terminology. I know it can be confusing. The shape is lobed, elliptical. The surface is bright green, glabrous above, paler, glabrous below, which is what we have. red or brown in autumn, which we're not there yet. So yeah, we now have the white oak. And what we can also do now with this book in particular and the others is you can go down and look at soil site, the bark, twigs, buds, flowers, fruit, and the value, what it's used for human use and wildlife use. And a book like this, a reference tool, is a fantastic tool. Now, I've done this with May's book. I've done it with the UK book, so you can show how to do it. Or I wanted to show you how to do it. Now I'm going to look at some of these other species that we come across on this road, and we'll bypass doing that. But now you know. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments below. This tree behind me is one of the easier ones to identify. No book needed. Is the Shagbark hickory tree. You can see the bark looks like it's peeling off. Incredibly healthy tree. That is the way it grows. Not a problem at all. The Latin term for this tree is Carya, ovata, or ovata. I'm not really sure which, but Carya comes from the Greek word for nut tree, and ovata is egg-shaped. So the nut, which I'm getting ready to show you, is egg-shaped. One little tidbit about this tree is that George Washington, our very first president of the United States of America, loved nut milk from this tree, the Shagbark hickory tree. Now, a lot of bushcrafters and like homesteaders and people that make furniture will strip the inner bark of this particular tree and use it for the seats of rocking chairs, for stools of that nature. I have one of those at my house. We'll get a video of that we're showing you right now. So this one right here is the Buckeye. Latin name is Aesculus glabra. The Aesculus is Latin, I believe, and I think it's misapplied to some sort of oak, so some kind of screw up there. But anyway, glabra means smooth husk, which you can see in these nuts. We have smoothness. Lots of uses for these little tidbits. Number one, pioneers. I'm not a believer in luck. Bite me, I don't care. I don't believe in luck, but pioneers would carry these around for luck. I used these as a kid for Buckeye wars, where you throw them at people. And last but not least, and this is a really unique situation, they are toxic, and you don't want to eat these if you're a human. But if you gather a bunch of these together and throw them in a pool of water, it'll cause the minnows, because they get the toxin in them as well, to kind of float up to the top on their side, and you can scoop them up. Not enough toxin in there to hurt you, so you can then utilize that in a survival situation to feed yourself. And why are they called Buckeyes? Because they look like the eye of a buck. Last one of the bunch is the black walnut. A couple things about this one. The Latin name for this is Juglans nigra. Juglan is some reference to the nut of Jupiter, as if he's really cool. Nigra just means black. So that's where this gets its name. A couple of little tidbits about this one. It's really cool. Growing up, and sometimes even now, I'll collect the husk, put them in a bucket of water or a tub of water, let that turn that water really dark, and use this to darken up leather projects and even fabric projects. Some Native American, I heard this a long time ago. I have no idea of the validity of this, but I heard some Native American people would use this to stain their skin sort of as a camouflaging, because the stuff that comes out of these husks will get on your skin, and it is very difficult to come off. It is like staining leather, as I mentioned. So if you get it on your hands, it's going to stain you. Really useful meat that's inside here. It's just incredibly hard husk to get into to get to the meat, but when you get there, very tasty. Another thing that the wood is famous for is creating very dark furniture, because the wood is incredibly dark. So a lot of the frontiersmen that came down out of Pennsylvania, they would have those nice, beautiful maple stocks, curly maple and stuff of that nature. And then when you got down here in Kentucky and they were building flintlocks with iron furniture, because iron is found in the ground here, as well as these dark walnut trees, they would have these really dark rifles, and it would set them apart. So your George Rogers Clark, Simon Kent, and Daniel Boone, those guys probably carried rifles that were made out of walnut or a wood that was a lot darker than what came out of the Northeast. So yeah, big thing I wanted to do was show all of you on YouTube land the kind of things that we do in the Nature Reliance School online membership. We've got a lot of people out there that are following us that just see our reels, and that's fun, and I'm glad you all enjoy them, and glad you're here. But I also want you all that really want to dig in and actually study this topic, whether it be trees or ropes or survival, disaster preparedness. We have lengthy videos and detailed documentation, downloads, and checklists, and all the things in the NRS online membership. So get in there, and I hope this has helped. If you have any questions, make sure you put them in the comments below, and I'll do everything I can to help you. I love getting people outside, and that way you and I can get wild.